At Healthcare Partners Medical Group, our mission is to provide the highest quality of healthcare to each and every patient. With 5 locations in Pahrump, we are local doctors you know and trust. We want to thank you for choosing us. Quality care starts here.
Pahrump's most watched and #1 media source for local news and weather with Deanna O'Donnell.
Welcome to News 46's Week in Review, your #1 source for local news. I'm Deanna O'Donnell. A local man was killed when his vehicle crashed head-on into a pickup truck this past weekend. 3 others were injured as a result of this accident, which required Highway 160 to be closed for hours. 3 people are injured and 1 man is dead following a high-speed fatal accident on Highway 160 near the construction zone. It all happened this weekend about 5:55 in the morning on Sunday. Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue arrived on scene along with Nye County Sheriff's deputies. Nevada Highway Patrol is investigating this accident. Nevada Highway Patrol issued a statement saying that 29-year-old Abelardo Garcia was traveling southbound on Highway 160 when his Toyota Camry with a California plate crossed the divider in the construction zone, hitting 2 cones and going head-on into an F-250 pickup truck driven by Damon Shea, who is the owner of Pahrump Valley Disposal. Upon impact, all 3 passengers inside the Toyota Camry suffered serious injuries. Abelardo Garcia was pronounced on scene. The 2 female passengers were transported to UMC Trauma Center via Mercy Air. Mercy Air 21 and Mercy Air 7 landed on scene. Nye County Sheriff's deputies blocked the roadway for the aircraft to take off and land. Damon Shea was transported locally here to Desert View Hospital, where he was treated and released. We're going to speak to Nevada Highway Patrol Sergeant Carlos Rivera and Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue Chief Scott Lewis.
We have a 2-vehicle accident this morning. Unfortunately, we did have a driver from one of the vehicles that did suffer fatal injuries.
And we had Mercy Air times 2 landing here.
That is correct. We had 2 passengers inside the brown Toyota Camry that were transported, airlifted into UMC Las Vegas.
And then inside the other vehicle, the pickup truck.
I've been told that the driver from the pickup truck was transported here locally to Desert View Hospital.
Do we know if this is a head-on collision?
It does appear that it is a head-on collision right now.
And I know that we're still under the investigation of this accident, but do you think that speed or alcohol played a part in this?
Well, right now it's very early to tell right now, and we are still in the very early stages of right now under the investigation.
And we called in the MATE team.
Yes, ma'am, that is correct. We did call in our major accident investigation team from Las Vegas to come and handle this accident.
And this roadway will be shut down for quite a few hours, right?
Yes, ma'am, that is correct. It will be shut down.
Yeah, it's just before 6 o'clock in the morning, and we were dispatched for a 2-vehicle accident with a head-on collision. Upon arrival, we found that we had 3 occupants in one vehicle, 1 in the other. None of them were able to egress out of their vehicles, so it was upgraded to a rescue assignment. Unfortunately, we found that 1 did not survive the injuries sustained in the accident. We flew 2 patients out, and the 3rd was taken to the local hospital.
And so Mercy Air landed on scene on Highway 160.
We had 2 helicopters come in, Mercy Air 21 and Mercy Air 7. Both of them landed on Highway 160 at different times. 21 had actually left the scene, departed with a patient. 7 came in shortly thereafter.
And I know that in the pickup truck, we had to extricate him as well.
We extricated all of the parties that were involved in the accident. 1 was a little bit later, is more of a recovery effort. However, they all had to be physically removed through extrication means.
What's all the equipment that we had on scene there?
Oh, we had a ton of stuff. We had a rescue engine on location, several ambulances, the command vehicle.
Once again, Abelardo Garcia is a Pahrump resident, though he did have that California plate. The other 2 female passengers still in serious condition at UMC Trauma Center. We don't have an update as to their names or their current condition. Damon Shea was treated and released. Nevada Highway Patrol says that alcohol is a factor in this accident, and they are investigating. This is Deanna O'Donnell for News 46. A 3-vehicle accident this past Thursday afternoon required 1 woman to be transported locally. A 3-vehicle accident this afternoon on Highway 160 near Basin, actually in front of Home Depot near Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue Station number 1. 3 vehicles in what appears to be a rear-end collision, the first one stopping and the other 2 hitting from behind. 1 woman was transported here locally. Her toddler was also transported with her. The child appears to not have sustained injuries, just needed to be transported with its mother. No other occupants inside any other vehicle appears to have sustained any injuries. They all declined medical transport. Nye County Sheriff's deputies blocked the roadway while the investigation was being conducted. This is Deanna O'Donnell on Highway 160 for News 46. And a two-vehicle accident this past Thursday afternoon at David and Vondell Streets required emergency crews to respond to the scene. One vehicle was overturned and caught fire. The driver frantically looked for her dog, which was temporarily missing. A two-vehicle accident here on David and Vondell Street this afternoon had one walking wounded. Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue arrived on scene to see a high-impact accident actually in front of this home. One car is overturned, the other one sustained major damage. One of the vehicles caught fire actually. They were able to extinguish the blaze before fire and rescue arrived on scene. Nye County Sheriff's deputies are conducting the investigation of this accident. This is Deanna O'Donnell on David and Vondell for News 46. And the Chihuahua named Peanut was located in the overturned vehicle inside a seat of the car. We've heard that Peanut is uninjured and doing well. The International House of Pancakes headquarters has released a statement regarding Tuesday's shooting in Carson City. The gunman, who is identified as Eduardo Sencion, opened fire in a branch of the restaurant. The shooting started when the gunman arrived in a minivan, got out and shot a man on a motorcycle. Then he walked inside the restaurant and started shooting. The gunman then turned the gun on himself. The statement issued by IHOP today says, "Our hearts ache for all the victims of this senseless act of violence in Carson City. We have representatives on site to offer assistance to those impacted. We are grateful to the public safety officials and first responders. They could not be kinder or more professional. The people of Carson City have also shown incredible support for the victims and IHOP's team members. We are grateful to all and to the IHOP restaurant team members for their tremendous resolve during this tragedy." Authorities say 32-year-old Eduardo Sencion killed 4 people, 3 of them Nevada Army National Guard members, before taking his own life. 35-year-old Major Heath Kelly, 31-year-old Sergeant First Class Miranda Miguel Henney, 38-year-old Sergeant First Class Kristen Regg, and 67-year-old Florence Donovan Gunderson all died. 4 victims remain at Renown Regional Medical Center in Reno. 3 other victims have since been released from the hospital. This is Deanna O'Donnell for News 46. Still more local news to come when News 46 returns.
Pahrump's most watched and #1 media source for local news and weather with Deanna O'Donnell.
And if you're interested in giving back and sharing your compassion with children, you may be a good candidate for CASA.
CASA stands for Court Appointed Special Advocate, and it is for children who are in foster care. It's a volunteer program. People who are interested and compassionate about the lives of children are trained, and then they advocate for the child. They have a voice for the child who doesn't have a voice of his own.
Wow. What a rewarding program. Tell people how they can get involved in this.
Yeah, they can call a number, CASA 702-592-5276. That is actually my cell phone, even though it's a Vegas number.
And also, we're having an open forum. What's that about?
The open forum is, there is going to be ads in the paper as well, and it's to recruit additional volunteers. We currently have 14 CASAs operating, and all of them have at least 1, sometimes 2 cases. We need more desperately. The courts told us the other day we need more CASAs. And so the open forum will be to invite the public to come in and learn more about what CASA is about and the commitment that is involved, and to hopefully sign up for the training. There will be an interview after each of them sign up, an individual interview, and then they are trained. 33 hours of intensive training.
Tell me how rewarding this is to give these children a voice.
Oh, it's very rewarding. You know, many people volunteer and say the general public think they're volunteering to help the children, but it's such a learning experience for each CASA as well. They learn so much from doing for these kids who often grow up to be productive citizens when they have a CASA.
Wonderful. And how much requirement does it take when you have a kid that's going through a case, and how much does the CASA use of their own time to help the kid?
Well, it really depends. It's a case-by-case situation. Some cases are more intense and so may take more of the CASA's time. But the CASA works in tandem with the Division of Child and Family Services, as well as the court system. And there is a team of people for each child. So the team meets regularly to discuss the future of the child and the possible outcome of the case.
Is there any requirements that you are looking for, or situations that you're looking for, that would more have a person be able to apply for this position and be accepted?
I think what we're looking for is compassion and somebody who can commit fully and not half-heartedly. It really is a commitment, and it can take as much time or as little time. It really depends on the case itself and on how much work the volunteer puts in. We are so fortunate in that the first class of people are all dedicated, every one of them, and none of them has dropped out of the program, which is the main thing.
Wonderful. And give the information on contact again. When is the open forum?
The open forum is September 17th, and it's going to be at BOCC on Walt Williams Drive. The number to call is 702-592-5276.
Symphony Animal Foundation held a popular event called Pasta for Paws at the VFW. We caught up with Lorraine Russo-Harper, Gary Hollis, and Karen Jackson.
We have a lot of pasta for paws. We're down here at the VFW on Homestead Road, and you can receive an authentic Italian dinner, spaghetti, meatballs, salad, bread, all for the price of a donation to Symphony Animal Foundation. We need to get this facility built for our animals in our community. So this is one of our fundraisers, and I'm hoping to see everybody down here.
So give me an update on the facility. I know that we were looking at building and planning the last time and getting the permits going. How's that going?
Well, we're actually making some very good progress. We have addressed the fire suppression system and worked through that. So we are hopeful that we will get our approved plans within the next 2 weeks, and hopefully we'll be able to pull our permits and start moving dirt.
There you go. And this is one of the last fundraisers for right now. I know that you guys are going to be at the Fall Festival, which is going to be fabulous because you guys are going to have a booth there as well.
We are going to have a booth at the Harvest Festival, and hopefully the weather will cooperate where we can bring some of our dogs down that are in foster care so that we can place those animals. So we're hoping to have them with us at the Harvest Festival. And it's a 4-day event, so come on out, support Symphony. It's going to be great.
We need to stop euthanizing wonderful animals. And as you can see from the crowd, people feel that way too. That's why they're here.
I've been supportive of this no-kill facility from the beginning.
Go on our website at symphonyanimalfoundation.org. They can email me at safanimals@aol.com. They can call me at 702-528-4997. I work at Best Western in Wolfies, so you're more than welcome to come in. I would love to separate you from your money.
The United States Postal Service is on the verge of bankruptcy. Here's the latest development on their status. Without enactment of legislation by the end of this month, the Postal Service faces default, as funds may be insufficient to make a congressionally mandated $5.5 billion payment to pre-fund retiree health benefits. The postmaster commented that the Postal Service is in a crisis today because it operates within a restrictive business model and has limited flexibility to respond to a changing marketplace. They stated that they need the ability to operate more as a business does. This applies to the way they provide products and services, allocate resources, configure their retail, delivery, and mail processing networks, and manage their workforce. The combination of weak economic conditions and diversion to electronic forms of communications continues to result in significant declines in the use of first-class mail and weakness in the use of standard mail. Future mail volume projections show this trend continuing, requiring even greater efforts to reduce cost. In the past 4 fiscal years, the Postal Service has reduced costs by more than $12 billion and reduced its career workforce by 110,000 employees. As impressive as these reductions have been, they must significantly accelerate the pace of cost reduction in the next 4 years based on current revenue and cost trends. The Postal Service must reduce its annual cost by $20 billion by 2015 to return to profitability. They do not currently have the flexibility in their business model to achieve all of these cost reductions. To do so, the Postal Service requires the enactment of comprehensive, long-term legislation to provide it with the needed flexibility. Specifically, legislation is needed that would do the following: resolve a unique law requiring the Postal Service to make $5.5 billion in annual payments to pre-fund retirement health benefits, return the $6.9 billion in federal employees' retirement system overpayments, grant the Postal Service the authority to determine delivery frequency, allow the Postal Service to allow restrictions to its healthcare system to make it independent of federal programs, grant the Postal Service the authority to provide a defined contribution retirement plan for new hires rather than today's defined benefit plan, streamline the process for product development and pricing. They also need to address the size of the Postal Service workforce. In order to return to profitability, the Postal Service needs to reduce its career workforce by approximately 220,000 by 2015, but cannot do so under the terms of the existing collective bargain agreements. To accelerate workforce reductions, the Postal Service is asking Congress to allow it to utilize the reduction in force provisions currently applicable to federal competitive service employees for positions held by bargaining unit employees. I'm Deanna O'Donnell for News 46. An exciting new business has come to town. We spoke to Ski and Ron to find out more.
I am really happy to bring this to you. This is 800 Margaret Street, right next to the auction. About 3 months ago, Ron and his wife approached me. We had a building that was empty from the used to be Silver State Armory. And their concept and idea was a place here in Pahrump for young children, middle-aged children to have a place to party with the birthday cake, celebrations, this and that. The work that they've done in the building is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, this is serious Las Vegas type entertainment for the young children. And to me, it's a great pleasure. We've added another business to Pahrump and another opportunity for children to have a venue to come and party and have a really good time. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Ron, and he'll explain the details for you.
Thank you. And Ron, the bounce house. There's many different bounce houses in here and a wonderful party room.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, we have 3 large bounce houses inside. One is a giant 18-foot slide, and the kids can climb up, slide down. It's completely enclosed, so it's safe. We also have a 15 by 15 jumper that you just climb into and bounce around. And then we also have a princess jumper that you get to climb inside, jump around, has a small obstacle course, and then you slide down the side of it.
You have a couple of young kids. Is that what kind of got you doing this, or why did you decide this kind of business?
Well, I've been in Pahrump for at least 10 years or so, and there's no place for kids to play, no place to have a birthday party. So yeah, and my kids' birthdays are January and February, so it's often very cold outside. So we decided, yeah, we needed something for the kids to do. So they kind of inspired it, but definitely something we needed for the community. You can just call us anytime, and if we're not here, we'll call you right back and make a party reservation.
Wonderful. And that phone number?
751-4848.
You also have a website as well.
Yeah, we do. It's www.thebouncehouse.co.
And here's Zach Fuentes with your entertainment this week.
I'm Zach Fuentes with your entertainment this week. Well, last Sunday, the annual Muscular Dystrophy Association Telethon, or the MDA Telethon, was held right here in Nevada at the South Point Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. The 46th annual Labor Day Telethon featured performances by stars such as Celine Dion, who we'll have more on later, Lady Antebellum, Boyz II Men, Martina McBride, Jordan Sparks, and appearances by Ryan Seacrest, Jennifer Lopez, Steven Tyler, Whoopi Goldberg, and others. This was the first telethon not to have Jerry Lewis as a host. Even though it was announced before that Lewis would not host anymore, it was said that he would at least return to sing his signature song, You'll Never Walk Alone. Jerry Lewis, however, did not appear. Instead, a tribute was shown featuring Lewis's many years working on the telethon, along with special words by this year's 4 hosts. The telethon raised over $61 million, which went up from last year's $58 million. It is the biggest total since the start of the recession that began in 2008. That's great. Well, Celine Dion, like I said, her mansion near Montreal, Canada was broken into. A 36-year-old man apparently jumped a fence and used a garage door opener he got from an unlocked vehicle to get into the home. The man then went into the refrigerator and ate some pastry and then proceeded to take a bath. A security alarm alerted police, and once they got in, the suspect who was coming down the staircase then asked, "Hey guys, what are you doing here?" Celine Dion and her husband were not home, as they usually live in Florida. It's crazy. Well, Regis Philbin announced back in January that he would be leaving the show that he has been a part of for nearly 28 years. However, it was not announced when his final show on the daytime talk show, Live with Regis and Kelly, would be. Tuesday, Philbin announced that his last show will be November 18, 2011, the Friday before Thanksgiving. There has been no confirmations yet as to who will be replacing 80-year-old Regis on the show. Co-host Kelly Ripa has been on the show for 10 years. Ripa was actually a replacement for original co-host Kathy Lee Gifford. The show began as we know it back in 1985. Regis will be missed. Reese Witherspoon was hospitalized yesterday due to injuries from being hit by a car. The Academy Award-winning actress was hit in Santa Monica, California, while out on a morning jog. Apparently, she was mowed down by a vehicle that was traveling at 20 miles an hour. The driver, who was an 84-year-old woman, was cited for failure to yield to a pedestrian. Reese Witherspoon's injuries, however, were mild, just scrapes and bruises, and she did get to return home from that same day, so we can chuckle about it. Well, this weekend, like I said back in the weather report a couple days ago, I went and saw the #1 movie at the box office. That movie was The Help. And I'm not going to usually do movie reviews, but in this case I will. It was an awesome movie. The theater was packed, and usually you don't see that after a movie's been out for a little while, and this has been out for about a month, I think. It was an amazing movie. If you get the chance, I'd highly recommend it. It spent its 4th week at #1 over the Labor Day weekend, and the film has so far grossed over $124 million. Coming in at #2 was A Debt, which grossed $12.6 million from Friday to Monday, and #3 was Apollo 18, bringing in $10.7 million, with Shark Night 3D coming in at #4, which grossed $10.3 million. Rise of the Planet of the Apes is still in the top 5, bringing in $10.25 million this week. I'm Zach Fuentes, and that was your entertainment this week.
Beloved teacher, husband, father, and friend Stephen Thorne has passed away this past weekend from heart failure. He was just 56 years old and a father of 5 children. A memorial was held last Wednesday night at Pahrump Valley High School's football field in his honor. 56-year-old teacher Stephen Thorne passed away this past weekend from heart failure. There was an outpouring of people here at Pahrump Valley High School for a memorial service. We're going to speak to the pastor who conducted the memorial service here on the football field.
Yes, I did. Steve was a good man. He was a personal friend. I think he was a personal friend to everybody here that came here tonight. He was quite a guy, and we're going to miss him. We're going to miss him very, very much.
You not only conducted the services here tonight, but you were a teacher here at Pahrump Valley High School as well.
Yeah, I'm a classified employee. I was a classroom aide, and I had study hall here for a number of years, and in-house detention and things like that. And I got to know Steve. He's just down the hall from me, and I'm going to miss him very much.
A lot of people are very moved by his passing tonight. Tell me what kind of person he was.
Steve was the kind of guy that you'd never know he was sick. Through all the illness he had, his fight with cancer and heart problems as well, he never let anybody know that he was sick. We'd say, "How are you, Steve?" He'd say, "I'm doing okay, doing okay." And he was just kind of that kind of guy. He was very upbeat. The kids loved him. He was very, very stern, but at the same time, he loved them all, and you could tell by being in his classroom that he cared.
More with News 46's News in Review. Stay tuned.
Pahrump's most watched and #1 media source for local news and weather with Deanna O'Donnell.
Sheriff Tony DeMeo spoke to us about the Nye County Sheriff's DUI checkpoint conducted this past holiday weekend. Although there was one very tragic fatal accident this past weekend, that was not during the time of the saturation patrol or the sheriff's checkpoint on Highway 160. We're going to speak to Sheriff Tony DeMeo about this weekend's sheriff's checkpoint.
Yeah, that was grant funded by the Office of of grants, from the state, and actually was part of a joint forces as people would realize. They actually had a couple of units from Las Vegas. We had a couple of units from Boulder City as well to assist the manpower with Nye County Sheriff's Office. Metro brought up their DUI van. I know we made a couple of arrests. I'm aware of a couple of arrests we made for DUI. And basically what it is to set up the checkpoint, make sure that the highways are safe, and making sure that people don't drink and drive, which is our concern. We'd rather have them pass through our checkpoint and not make any arrests, meaning that they're following the law and they're not drinking and driving, and not impaired drivers. Fortunately, a couple individuals decided that wasn't what they're going to do, and they found themselves in Nye County detention, and the result of that.
What questions were the officers asking as the people came through the checkpoint?
Well, there's a couple of questions they asked. Have you been drinking? Where you been drinking? But basically, what we're looking at, we're not looking actually for the answers, because people are going to lie to us. Everybody says they only had 2 beers, and okay, how many gallons was those 2 beers you had? It make a lie, but it's very serious. Is that we ask a question, when we look for the reaction of how the people respond to those questions. We look at we have eye contact with them. So there's a lot of things that we look at as far as body movements and with the body language that will give us a clue to further investigate that. Plus, also the smell of alcohol in the breath, and in addition to the smell of the alcohol in the car. So there's a couple of things we do look at, and and this is a way for us to gauge how successful our DUI programs are. We mostly do a saturation patrol, which we send deputies out to look for driving behavior to make the stop. This one's a fixed checkpoint. Where we had the cooperation of a couple of agencies coming in, and part of that joint forces, like people call me, was Las Vegas here, and was Boulder City here. Sometimes we use people from North Las Vegas or Henderson, and the fact of the matter is that we share manpower. We'll send, and this grant funded, so it doesn't come out of it's not a direct impact to our budget. But we'll send Metro will send 2 or 3 officers up here. We'll send a deputy down there. North Las Vegas will send a couple of people up here. We'll send a deputy down there, and it's a way for us to get an idea of what's going on in everybody else's community. But it's a way for us to engage in a partnership to make our highway safer. In this event, we also had an NHP. We had 4 officers from NHP, also 4 troopers from NHP also engaged in it. So we had Nye County Sheriff's Office, Las Vegas, Boulder City, and NHP.
Will we be looking at this in the future as well?
We've been doing this for a long time. Actually, the state of Nevada actually was actually congratulated, because we're the only ones that actually did that. We've been doing it first, and I think Nye County Sheriff's Office was the first one that stepped up to the plate to get involved in this. I don't know if it was our idea or not, but it was something that quickly became became like a routine. A lot of agencies like the idea behind it, and I do too. I mean, it gives us an opportunity to to have fresh bodies there, and opportunity to share resources. I mean, we didn't have a DUI van; they did, and it's a way of working partnerships. Because actually, when emergencies come, we'll be working with these agencies during emergencies. They'll be working with us, so it's a way for us to gauge, each other's how each other's conduct business as far as the radio traffic, and how we can make sure that we have a more of a seamless type of command.
And we want to remind everybody out there, please pull over for emergency vehicles when you see them on both sides of the roadway. Be careful during that construction zone on Highway 160 and Homestead. And of course, don't drink and drive. This is Deanna O'Donnell for News 46. Town Manager Bill Kohlbarger with his response to an email sent by former Town Board member Frank Marizio.
What's going on is the town staff has decided to answer a lot of these emails that are going around giving out nothing but misinformation about the town of Pahrump and the staff. And we have decided to, again, start answering these. Dr. Waters has started this about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, by putting open letters in the editorials. Well, we decided we need to stand up and start doing some of this, because there's a lot of misinformation being put out there, especially by one small individual.
So instead of ignoring them and ignoring the rumors and everything, you've decided to actually answer these rumors and try to squelch them.
Well, what I want to do is I actually want to put out the actual facts. I'm not going to answer the rumors that are absolute unadulterated BS. I'm not going to do that. But when they put out misinformation on the facts, that's the type of email that we want to respond to. And
so what specifically are we talking about? I know I got an email with an answer yesterday, and tell me what's going on.
Well, Mr. Maruzio, Frank Maruzio, a former town board member, sent out an email advising that, in his own words, that I am being deceitful, that I am mismanaging, and I'm making poor decisions on issues involving the Bob Roode Center. And he put out some information that mold remediation was done between January 4th and January 14th at a cost of $14,749.48. Well, that's incorrect. What he read was an estimate, and it actually used the word estimate right on the bottom of the page. Mr. Maruzio read it wrong. The town has not, and I'm going to say this again, the town has not paid $14,749.48. Matter of fact, we haven't paid 1 red cent to remediate the mold at the Bob Roode Center because it has not been done yet. And if people have issues and they don't believe the word that I am speaking, then they can go online to the accounts payables and check it. They can check the accounts payables since the Roode Center's been closed December 27th, 2010 to now, and they will not find anything on there for $14,749.48 to pay for remediation of mold, to pay a group to come in and do mold, or to pay for any other issue involving the Bob Roode Center. It has not been done.
The insurance company paid for something to be done. What was that they paid for the Bob Roode Center?
Correct. They paid for the demo of the wet material and removal of the wet material, and that cost was $4,262.70. That came directly from the insurance company. It was from Belfour to the insurance company. Insurance company paid it. Town had nothing. Mr. Maruzio also made comments in his email that he requested these invoices, and I've refused to give them to him. I have not refused to give him anything. I don't have them to give. So how can I give something I don't have? It's real simple. And he's putting out misinformation in an attempt to make staff look bad. When in doubt, the only person looking bad is the individual putting out the misinformation.
Frank Maruzio used to be a town board member. Can anybody ask for documents from the town like that and say, I want to see the invoices?
Yes, through a open public records request. And you can do that, and we'll respond to you.
Are you able to get the invoices that he's asking for? Are you trying to go to the insurance company and get a copy of them?
No, I am not, because the insurance company is handling that, not us. It's not in our realm. It's their realm. If he wants it, then he needs to contact ASC through the Pool and Pack, not the town of Pahrump.
And here's part 2 with Town Manager Bill Kohlbarger.
Oh yeah, he also advised that I spent over my limit of $5,000 basically misappropriating funds. And he stated that the town has a purchase policy. Well, the town has an outdated purchase policy, but here's the interesting thing. In the purchase policy, it states, purchasing procedures and regulations regarding the awards of contracts and for local government are specified in Nevada Revised Statute, Chapter 322, or 332. That's actually in an outdated purchasing policy I found. However, when I looked up 332.039, because it states right there in NRS Chapter 332, and I'll read this to you, 332.039(1)A, a governing body or its authorized representative shall advertise all contracts for which the estimate annual amount required to perform the contract exceeds $50,000. He was trying to say anything over $10,000 must go to bid. No, pursuant to the NRS, which is right here in writing, anybody can look it up, NRS 332.039, it's $50,000 or more. Between $25,000 and $50,000, they recommend that you obtain 2 or more bids or estimates that we contact. We don't have to advertise. We can contact anybody we deem necessary between $25,000 and $50,000 and ask them to submit bids. Anything under $25,000, then it's up to the town board. And I have a $5,000 spending limit per day. So I can't go over 5,000 unless the town board authorizes it. Now, I have in the past gone over 5,000 for emergency situations and repairing a fire truck, which was ratified by the town board because I took it to the town board at the next available town board meeting, which qualifies for my job description. Mr. Maruzio needs to stop putting out this misinformation and trying to slander staff.
So who did he send this to? Do you have any CCs on this?
He sent it out to about 70 or 80 people.
And is this the first of the emails that he sent out that you know of?
No, he's been sending out emails for 6 months now because he has an issue with myself and some of the other staff members in the town of Pahrump.
I know that there was some litigation between him when he was on the town board. What's going on with that?
Well, there was no litigation. What happened was he was charged with 12 ethical violations in which he pled guilty to 2 of them. And, Al Balakwi brought a complaint against him, and Chief Lewis and I were brought into that complaint. And out of that, the Ethics Commission of the state of Nevada charged him with 12 charges. And during a hearing, which lasted most of the day, he ended up pleading to it. He pled to 2 to keep his job, basically, because they had told him, "We're going to find you guilty of all these."
Yeah. And he ended up serving out his whole term, though, right?
Yeah, he served out his term, which, by the way, he was not elected. He was appointed by the governor at that time, which is Gibbons. Yeah. And then he failed in a re-election attempt. And the town's folks spoke up loud and clear. Top 6 made it. He finished 8th out of 15.
And he's not running for any office right now or having any position politically right now?
Not to my knowledge. He's just trying to stir up hate and discontent with sending out all these emails that, again, are nothing but filled with misinformation and misfactual. And we're trying to answer with facts. That's all we want to do is get the facts out there. And that's why I sent out the email, and that's why I sent it to the media, asking the media to please put the facts out, the correct facts out. And you can look up any of these things that I've listed in the email. You can go online and find them, and you will find that what I sent are the facts.
What's the price of public safety? $36,000 for this year's Pahrump Fair and Festival. Sheriff Tony DeMeo explains. $36,000, that's the total that Nye County has come up for law enforcement figures for the Pahrump Fair and Festival for this year. We're going to speak to Sheriff Tony DeMeo.
Yeah, as you know, the county's in financial straits, and we don't have that much money in overtime budget. We have to look at cutting corners. The sheriff's office did what we could in order to help the county was financial crisis, and one of the issues that came up was the overtime. We figured it out. It's going to be, of course, the sheriff's office $36,000 for the festival over that weekend. And unfortunately, we don't have the money in our budget. We had the 4th of July, and the 4th of July, we took a very big hit. That was only $8,000. So we're trying to keep the money for those emergencies, investigation, and the tragedies that we hope that don't occur, but we have to prepare for it anyway. And so we informed the people that are running the event. It's a private event, actually, that we couldn't afford to have deputies there on overtime. Unfortunately, the other problem with that is that we lost quite a few people on these buyouts. So we don't have anybody we can actually pull, and we'd have to pull people from the street. And the way it looks, and we don't think we can do that. We're just barely covering the calls for service as it is. And of course, that quite a few times that some calls have to be placed on. Then priority calls have to be placed on backlogged until we get deputies free for those non-emergency calls. So it will be taken from the street, and of course then depleting our overtime budget. So we went to the county commissioners today to advise them of that, and we don't think they're going to fund us. We put feelers out for additional funding for the festival, and we were told that the county commissioners are not looking to augment the budget. And unfortunately, we don't have the ability to put people there on overtime. And unfortunately, because of the buyouts that occurred, we lost around 13 positions. I lost 71% of my just my supervision for the street here in Pahrump. So it looks like we're not going to have police presence there, sheriff's office presence, or if it is, it may be very minimal. But even those people would have to be pulled out of the park should an incident occur outside of the park area. My understanding, though, is that one of the commissioners did inform me that someone from the representing that board on the festival board actually got contacted CCA, and they said they're going to provide security for the park. The only issue we have with that is the fact that they have no law enforcement authority whatsoever. They're not. We don't believe there are any even licensed security guards in the state of Nevada. Their jurisdiction ends and is within the facility with those individuals that they are assigned to safeguard under the contract with the federal government. So we don't know what they're going to do, how they're going to work that. But unfortunately, we may not have anybody there for the festival.
So we don't know where we're going from here. As far as the Pahrump Fair and Festival, is there tourism dollars to help pay for something like this?
We don't know. Actually, the sheriff's office, even when Sheriff Wade Liskey was in office, has always been a burden to the sheriff's office. It's a big event requiring a lot of overtime, a lot of people, and also supplemented. We actually have to bring people down from the other parts of Nye County. We bring people down from North Area and Central Area Command to augment the deputy presence. We don't have those anymore because they lost positions. I only have one substation only has one deputy now, where they had 3, and the other substation lost 2, and possibly 3, with the talk of another buyout. A person putting in for a buyout. So we can't even draw from the other substations, other substations, Tonopah, Smoky Valley, Beatty or Amagosa, because they're already been hit with the buyouts, and Pahrump's been hit harder still. So we don't know how we're going to manage that. But the fact of the matter is that that's what the people from Fall Festival said. They're going to get the people from CCA to act as some kind of security.
Well, unless some funding comes up for the Nye County Sheriff's Office, it looks like the Correction Corporation of America's security guards will be the law enforcement presence at this year's Pahrump Fair and Festival. This is Deanna O'Donnell at the Nye County Commissioner's Chambers for News 46. And here's part 2 with our Sheriff, Tony DeMeo. How many deputies do we normally have present at the Fall Festival during this kind of weekend?
Well over 30. Well over 30. Between covering the shifts, we have to have presence. We had presence in the, of course, where the rides are in the carnival section, and we have the people within the park area itself, and then the people, with security around the outside perimeter in Albertson parking lot, those areas outside where they're, and also the rodeo grounds as well, and and sometimes those numbers up to 40 that we have to you have to put on per day. Yeah.
I know you guys are busy. I hear you all the time going here and there. There's a lot of incidents that go on just at that festival.
Yeah, like I said, we did notify the people, and they said they didn't have the money to cover any expenses. That was the information they gave County Commission. That was the information they kept them back. One individual said that there might be some money there, but when I talked to other people within that board, made mention of County Commission, there's no money whatsoever. So we don't know what they're going to do. I mean, I wish them the best. Anything happens, well, of course, we'll respond there, but we don't know how we're going to manage the manpower with all the cuts that we took as far as manpower and the additional cuts in the budget for overtime.
And you keep us posted.
To keep you posted, like I said, is that they're maintaining that's a very important event for the community. I agree with that, but the fact of the matter is county commissioners are aware of that, but they're not funding those. They're not funding that event, and we're not going to be augmented in our budget. And unfortunately, $36,000 may consider small. When you look at how much the budget has been cut on overtime, it actually is quite a bit of an impact to our budget. The $7,000, almost $8,000 was a big impact to our budget. This one is an overwhelming impact with the amount of money we have in our budget this year to maintain public safety and the services that we're obligated to commit to do in the community.
At the Board of County Commissioners meeting, Commissioner Joni Easley and Sheriff Tony DeMeo got into a heated discussion regarding the storage of impounded vehicles.
AA, action approval of change order number 2 to the agreement between Nye County and Advantage Self-Storage.
I asked that this be pulled, and I am very curious about something. There's a letter in the backup from Advantage Self-Storage. The first paragraph says, since our last correspondence where we agreed upon providing an additional 10 spaces, bringing the total allocated parking spots to 70, an additional 25 spots have been taken. How could we violate our own contract I mean, how did this happen? Yeah, because we had a contract for a certain number of spaces, and now they're telling us that we've taken an additional 25 spaces in the yard at school.
Perhaps the sheriff can weigh in.
This is about a lot that was supposed to be finished probably about 6 months ago. We had it was supposed to be done within 6 to 12 weeks. So we rented at a location temporary space. The impound lot is not completed, and so we have vehicles that are impounded because they're used in crimes, and we needed more space. So with the amount of spots that were allocated, we believe was going to be sufficient for the time period, even with some flexibility, until our permanent lot was going to be finished. And unfortunately, we're still waiting for that to occur. I don't know when that lot's going to start. They haven't even put up a fence yet, or blacktop, or anything. So we're just waiting, and unfortunately, we need the spots because these are vehicles that we're holding for evidence in crimes. We have no place to, if we don't put them there, you know, we have no place to put them, and you know, that's what it is, that we encroached into other spots, but we can't refuse to take cars used in crimes or anything. So it's we're kind of stuck with that.
Okay, I guess my whole point is that we had a contract with Advantage Self-Storage, and somehow we decided, maybe it was an emergency, that we were going to go outside the contract and authorize, in some manner, another 25 spots outside the contract. That's what my point is. We can't do things like that.
Well, I understand that, but
we all took an oath of office to follow the laws of the state of Nevada. One of the laws of the state of Nevada says that you can't do things like this, that you just can't violate a contract or go outside the contract and issue an amendment and then come to us after the fact. And Tony, I don't want you to think I'm scolding you.
we were promised that this lot was going to be done 12 weeks. It wasn't done. We're now waiting over 8 months for a lot that all they need is put blacktop and a fence on. So don't sit here and start telling what the law is. The fact of the matter is we have to take these cars that are used in crimes. We have no place else to put them. And that's the fact of the matter is. And I appreciate your point, but I wasn't aware that those spots were taken until I saw that. And, you know, that person has been reprimanded by me that they can't do that. But I wasn't the one who authorized that. What we're trying to do now is clean up a mess that we were promised back in December when we started taking those cars out of our secure lot, that we'd have a place to put them within 6 to 12 weeks was the time frame. But that didn't occur, Commissioner, and that's what we have to sit with now. I can't refuse to take cars that are used in crimes. I have no place else to secure them, and that's the fact of the matter. Thank you. And I apologize for my outburst, Commissioner, just so you know.
Yeah, I wasn't upset with you, Tony. I have to ask those questions. I'm sorry.
No apology. It was, I should have, I could handle it without saying the same thing without, as an outburst. I apologize, Commissioner.
In favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0.
Well, that's it for News 46's Weekend Review. All the events held this weekend for the September 11th 10th anniversary. We're going to give you a list, so if you want to get a pen really quick, we're going to give those all to you. Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue will be holding their annual event at Fire Station 1 at Basin and Highway 160 at 8:30. They're going to start their ceremony actually at 8:46. The Pahrump Party Supply is holding their annual 9/11 Remembrance event on Sunday morning, beginning at 8:30, also on Highway 160, and they're hoping that everyone lines along the roadway all the way to the fire station. The Kiwanis will be holding an event at the cabin on the property of Terriblestown at Highway 372 and 160, beginning at 5 p.m. with the reading of all the names who lost their lives as a result of the September 11th attack. The VFW will be holding an event on Homestead Road at their post beginning at 1 p.m. on Sunday. This will include a flag burning ceremony. And the Pahrump Nugget is asking for a moment of silence at 1 p.m. on Sunday. The United Methodist Church on Highway 372 is holding their annual 9/11 Remembrance event from 1:30 p.m. until 7 p.m. at night, and the public is invited to attend. And a 9/11 commemorative vigil will be held in the evening on Sunday from 7 to 8 p.m. in front of Terriblestown on Highway 160 and 372. At the request of T-Town management, no candles will be allowed on the property. Symphony Animal Foundation will be selling glow sticks beginning at 5 p.m. and a portion of the proceeds will be donated to our disabled veterans. And a spaghetti dinner was held on Friday night for the Dream Chaser Horse Ranch Rescue at the Maverick. And if you want to help donate to the Dream Chaser Ranch, you can call 513-6216. And of course, we'll be bringing you all of the weekend's events for the 9/11 10-year anniversary on Monday night's newscast. I'm Deanna O'Donnell. Have a great weekend. Good night.